Hey friends, welcome back! In this video we're checking out two of Frankenmuth's most well-known dining spots, Zehnders and the Bavarian Inn. We're gonna go check out to see what all the hype is about and give you a look at what to expect. Our first big dining stop was Zehnders of Frankenmuth, one of Frankenmuth's most iconic restaurants and a true piece of local history.
Just get the shot.
1856.
The site originally began as the Exchange Hotel back in 1856, and in 1928 the Zehnders family bought it, remodeled it, and opened what would become the restaurant we know today. Since then, it's grown into one of the largest family-style restaurants in the United States, seating over 1,500 guests and serving almost 1 million people every year. The vibe inside is classic Midwestern hospitality, big, lively, and welcoming, with cozy dining rooms and that feeling of a place where families have made memories for generations. It's especially famous for its all-you-can-eat family-style chicken dinners, classic comfort dishes, fresh baked goods, and European-inspired desserts. A lot of people come here because it's more than just a meal, it's kind of a Frankenmuth tradition. Whether you're visiting with family, celebrating a holiday, or just exploring town, Zehnders is one of those spots that travelers often make a must-do on their list. But does it live up to the hype?
Dun dun dun!
Dun dun dun! Starting off with the drinks, Mike went with the Zehnders Vienna Red Ale, and I ordered the caramel apple cider. We both really enjoyed the cider that I ordered. It had a nice tartness from the apples, and it followed by a really smooth caramel finish. It actually tasted very seasonal, even if that wasn't the intent. It was a great balance of sweetness and acidity.
Smelled and tasted kind of like a wine.
It did smell kind of wine-like, yeah. Mike's Red Ale was also a solid choice. We've had a lot of really good ales in the past, and while this one doesn't quite stack up against the best of the best, it was still really tasty. It had that classic biscuit-like malt flavor, and a medium body that made it really easy to drink.
You can tell it was a little more European style for sure.
Next up were the appetizers, and this was definitely an interesting assortment. We started with a cheese spread and a chicken liver pate, both served with crouton-style bread. The cheese spread tasted kind of like a thicker, richer version of cheese from a can, or what we would assume cheese from a can would taste like. Mike tried the liver pate, which honestly surprised both of us. But he layered it on thin and he said it wasn't bad. You could taste the chicken with a little bit of a gamey taste and a very salty finish. At least that's what he claims. Along with that, they brought out cranberry relish, cottage cheese, and a cranberry jam or sauce, along with coleslaw. And then there was the Stollen bread, which is traditional German bread. It's rich, sweet, and buttery, a yeast bread packed with nuts, spices, and dried or candied fruits. often with a marzipan center and usually dusted with powdered sugar. It's especially popular around Christmas. They also served regular white bread alongside it. It's a bit of an odd assortment overall, but everything was fine and definitely part of the classic Zehnders experience. Moving on to the mains, Mike ordered the rotisserie half chicken. With this dish, they season whole plump birds with their signature rub and slow roast them over an open flame. It came with a sautéed blend of potatoes and seasonal vegetables. We know this place is famous for its all-you-can-eat chicken dinners, but Mike was just in the mood for a simple chicken plate. Overall, he did enjoy the chicken. The seasoning was nice, but it was slightly on the dry side. The vegetables were good, the broccoli in particular was very tasty, but the potatoes were a major letdown. There was only one small potato on his plate, and when Mike mentioned it to our server, they brought out an extra plate of potatoes. That was a very nice gesture of them, but unfortunately when they brought the plate out, they tasted just like frozen potatoes with zero seasoning, and it was really disappointing. For my main, I went with one of their vegetarian options, which I did appreciate seeing on the menu. I ordered the portobello ravioli. This came with large ravioli stuffed with portobello mushrooms, tossed in a garlic cream and white wine sauce, with fresh artichokes and sweet red peppers, all topped with sautéed portobellos. When it first hit the table, it looked really good, but I immediately noticed that the bowl was kind of cold. When I cut into the ravioli, the pasta felt unusually thick, more like a dumpling than a pasta. And after tasting it, it was clear the dish was cold and wasn't really fully cooked through. The texture was really off-putting, and the garlic bread was stale. It was just overall very upsetting. I hate speaking up at restaurants, but I had to say something here. They did remake the dish, and I really appreciated that. Although the second dish looked a little different than the first one, I did appreciate that the plate came warm, and that the garlic bread was fresh and buttery. You could tell that it hadn't been sitting under a heat lamp. The ravioli this time was thinner, properly cooked, and much better texture-wise. Flavor-wise, the dish was really nice, buttery and creamy. I enjoyed the dish overall, but it didn't necessarily wow me. One thing we do want to mention is that this building also has a bakery and a gift shop on the lower level, which we actually thought was worth checking out. That said, when it comes to the dining experience itself, it just didn't really live up to the hype for us. Right across the street from Zehnders is the competition, the Bavarian Inn Restaurant. These two spots are basically Frankenmuth dining legends and part of why this town is known as a foodie destination. While they're run as separate operations today, both restaurants trace their roots back to the same extended Zehnders family and have a bit of friendly rivalry between them. The Bavarian Inn actually began long before it took its current name. It was originally opened in 1888 as a Union House Hotel by Theodore Fisher, later becoming Fisher's Hotel and serving travelers and locals for generations. In 1950, the Zehnders family purchased Fisher's. Over the next decade, they remodeled it with authentic Bavarian architecture, complete with stucco walls, wood carvings, flower boxes, and other European details. And in 1959, held a week-long celebration that eventually became the Frankenmuth Bavarian Festival that we know today. Today, the Bavarian Inn is one of the largest restaurants in Michigan, with seating for around 1,200 guests across multiple dining rooms. Servers are often dressed in traditional Bavarian attire, and the whole place leans heavily into the old-world German-inspired theme. The vibe inside feels classic and cozy with a mix of European charm. Like Zehnders, the Bavarian Inn is famous for its family-style chicken dinners and German-inspired fare. Because of their shared history and being located right across the street from each other, these two spots have become a must-visit stop for anyone wanting to experience a true Frankenmuth tradition. While Zehnders may be larger overall, the Bavarian Inn really shines with its strong German look and feel that many visitors come specifically for. So let's see if the Bavarian Inn lives up to its reputation. Starting off with their drinks, we decided to share a picture of the German-imported Hofbräu Hefeweizen. We already knew we'd love this from visiting their brew house in Buffalo. It's a really enjoyable wheat beer, hazy when it pours with toasted wheat malt and those classic banana and clove notes. We especially love the subtle banana flavor, and it was a really perfect way to kick off the meal. The appetizers here were very similar to what we had at Zehnders. We were served the traditional stolen bread, along with white bread and butter accompanied with it. We gave the stolen bread a try here, and Mike was not a fan, but I actually enjoyed it. It had a much lighter fruitcake feel to it. We were also brought out 2 bowls of chicken noodle soup, without chicken, but it still had a chicken-based broth. So this was all Mike. He thought the noodles were fine, but the broth itself tasted pretty bland, almost like water. Once he added some of that chicken seasoning that they had on the table, it definitely helped and gave it a much-needed flavor boost. Along with that came a carrot salad and coleslaw. The carrot salad was and the coleslaw was fine. It tasted a little better than Zehnders. And then this weird pasta salad. It had chicken in it, so I only really tried a noodle, and I wasn't a fan. The sauce was very sour and tangy. They also had a cranberry relish that I believe was cranberry, apples, and beets. I quite enjoyed this. It had a very nice fruity taste to it. They also served sauerkraut, which we just weren't into, and a butternut squash, which was really tasty but very buttery. Along with all of this, we also got the famous buttered noodles, but we'll get into that in just one second. For our mains, Mike went with the Frankenmuth German dinner, which comes with a medley of their favorites. That includes the famous Frankenmuth chicken. He chose white meat, a schnitzel, which is breaded pork loin, sauerbraten, made from marinated roast beef, and potato cheese puffs. His first bite was the schnitzel, and that was definitely a highlight. It was tender on the inside with a nice crunch on the outside and very well seasoned. The sauerbraten was a bit chewy, but the glaze was tangy and flavorful. He really enjoyed the sauce. Next up was the fried chicken. It was decent, a little dry but still good, but Mike said he definitely has had better. What we both really enjoyed though were the potato cheese puffs. They were soft on the inside with ooey gooey cheese and a nice crispy exterior. And our server even brought us ranch to dip them in, which we thought paired really nicely. For my main, I was a little limited on options, so I went with the broiled Lake Superior whitefish served with a baked potato. It was a really big fish and it was definitely seasoned, and it flaked apart really easily on my first bite. But the more I kept eating, the more I started to question whether it was fully cooked through. The texture began to change and the fish flavor became stronger, which was pretty off-putting. I ended up not being able to finish my meal. The baked potato was actually pretty sad. It was just a plain baked potato with salt and pepper on the skin, and no butter or anything to go with it. I ended up adding a lot of the fixings from the table inside of my potato to give it a bit of flavor. Overall, the dish just really fell flat. What didn't fall flat, though, were the famous buttered noodles we've heard so many people talk about. The noodles were cooked nicely, and we noticed the topping was crushed Ritz crackers. They were really buttery, the butter soaked all the way down to the bottom of the bowl, but honestly that was not a bad thing. It's a simple dish, but really tasty, and the crackers added that little extra something. This ended up being what I mainly ate since my main dish just wasn't my cup of tea. Along with our meals, we also got our choice of house-made soft-serve ice cream. They had choices of vanilla, orange, or a swirl of both. Mike went with the swirl, which tasted like a creamsicle, and I chose the vanilla. The ice cream was smooth and perfectly sweet, and we loved the little toppers that came with it. It was such a cute finishing touch. On top of being a place to dine, the Bavarian Inn also has a gift shop area that they call the Castle Shops. So much like Zehnders, there's more to see and do here than just eating. We stumbled upon a cute little piano near their washrooms and spent a bit of time playing around with that. And then we headed downstairs to explore more. That's where you'll find their candy and chocolate shop, their own bakery, and plenty of German Christmas goodies and souvenirs to choose from. Just like with Zehnders, we definitely encourage you to explore this side of the building. Even if you're not planning on sitting down for a meal, there's a lot of charm tucked away in these spaces. With all that being said, we found that the Bavarian Inn Restaurant does beat Zehnders by a bit. At the end of the day, you're not going to get 100% truly authentic German cuisine at either of these spots. But in our experience, the Bavarian Inn had a little bit more charm and slightly better flavors in their dishes overall. Alright friends, thanks so much for watching us take on two of the biggest dining spots in Frankenmuth. Let us know in the comments if you've been to either of these places and what your thoughts are on them. We still got plenty more festive fun coming your way, so we'll see you in the next one.